We can start. As we all remember, last year in Saarbrücken, and also in previous time, we have started with a fantastic student performance. And here in Katowice, it can't be the other way. But we have decided not to invite today our students, but our future students. I would like to present you students from the Adam Mickiewicz High School in Katowice, the best one in our city. And they will perform for us three great pieces. The first one will be So Much Sun in the City of Anna Jantar, so one of the most beautiful Polish songs. Then we will have Autumn Dance from Peasants, the Polish film nominated to Oscar. And then we will hear Maskenada. I think that also our guests from the South will know it very well, but in Polish version. I would like to present you Mr. Piotr Hechliński, who is the director. Piotr, the floor is yours.
Powrotna podróż. na wesele czas. Będą tam grały nam skrzypice, bęben, bas. A kto się nie naje, a kto nie napije, tego wędba pije, dlatego pomyje. Weselne nowiny lecą już hen świat. Tańcuj i szalej jak dziki jesienny wiatr. Za miłość raz i dwa, za miłość i wiatr. Za miłość wypij brat, za miłość do dna. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, podłoga na wióry. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, nogami do góry. Biegajże za mną, a ja dam ci słodki miód. Za biodra chwytaj mnie i całuj tak jak znów. Weselne nowiny lecą już hen świat. Tańcuj i szalej jak dziki jesienny wiatr. Za miłość raz i dwa, za miłość i wiatr. Za miłość wypij brat, za miłość do dna. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, podłoga na wióry. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, nogami do góry. Biegajże za mną, a ja dam ci słodki miód. Za biodra chwytaj mnie i całuj tak jak z nut. Kiedy dzień dopala się i przygasa w mrok, kiedy przyjdzie ciemna noc, goście w dom. Grajcie, grajcie, muzykanty, nam siarczysty rytm. I już ci kulosy do tańców, tańca aż po świt. Nie płacz matko, nie płacz, ja sobie radę dam. Byłaś mi jak anioł stróż, teraz jego mam. Kielikami w kielichy, kołowce w podłogę. I już ci nudni i smakur, noga o nogę. Wszystkim pije ten sam rytm, nie stój i no rusz. Rwą się nogi, znowu łyki, pik samotnych dusz. Tańcuj, niech wiruje świat, zapomnij to co złe. Radujmy się teraz, panie, dzięki za ten dzień. Weselne nowiny lecą już hen w świat. Tańcuj i szalej jak dziki jesienny wiatr. Za miłość raz i dwa, za miłość i wiatr. Za miłość wypij brat, za miłość do dna. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, podłoga na wióry. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, nogami do góry. Biegajże za mną, a ja dam ci słodki miód. Za biodra chwytaj mnie i całuj tak jak znów. Weselne nowiny lecą już hen świat. Tańcuj i szalej jak dziki jesienny wiatr. Za miłość raz i dwa, za miłość i wiatr. Za miłość wypij brat, za miłość do dna. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, podłoga na wióry. Hej, tańcuj z nami tu, nogami do góry. Biegajże za mną, a ja dam ci słodki miód. Za biodra chwytaj mnie i całuj tak jak z nut. co z anioła czyni diabła, z urzędnika czarownika, kiedy znika w rytmie tym. Bosa stopa ziem dotyka, już samotny nie jest nikt. O, Maria, oba, oba, oba. O, Maria, oba, oba, oba.
Ladies and gentlemen, Adam Mickiewicz. Piotr, Zosia, the recent elected president of the Students' Council. And also I would like to invite Professor Magdalena Hegenbart. Pani profesor, zapraszamy. And pani profesor Ewa Piotrowska. So, as you can see, the future of Transform for Europe is really brilliant. Thank you very much. And now we will have a very short technical break to change our scene. In Katowice, as you can see, we have cooperation not only with enterprises, not only with industry, but also what is very important for us, with schools. And we are hoping that those very talented young people will join our European campus in the future. And now it is time to give the floor to the rector of the University of Silesia, the actual president of Transform for Europe, Professor Ryszard Koziołek.
Thank you very much. Oh, thank you very much, Małgosia. How to say something interesting after that? Only you can do is try to be not boring. But I remember yesterday, Lady Rector Isabel from Catholic University from Portugal gave me the piece of advice that if you want to solve all human problems and issues, you can transform people into band, into orchestra, under the wise and talented direction. Yes, it could be successful. Good morning, everyone, especially my colleagues and friends, rectors from Alliance Transform for Europe, your colleagues, your students. Thank you very much that you are coming here to Katowice, some of us again, some for the first time. When my alarm clock woke up this morning, I felt it was too early because it was 5 a.m. But I got up and turned on the radio, and I heard the song, famous song. I'm sure that you know it. I'm so excited. I'm so Pointer Sisters. Can you sing that? I'm so excited. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited that you are here. You are in person. One in a year, we can meet together. We can talk face to face, and you are the cause that every year I'm convinced more and more how important the project of Alliances of European Universities is, not only for us today, not only for us, but for the future generations of European citizens, for whom we create a common space for research, for education, and above all, for living together on equal terms, offering each other the best we have, and seeking the same from partners and friends. Our leader of our alliance is the wonderful Saarland University and Director Ludger Santen. But we have decided that every year, honorary presidency of our alliance will pass to a different university each year. A year ago, I had an honor to get a symbolic medal from Rector Manfred Schmidt from Saarland University. And today I will pass it to Rector, where are you? Come to me, come join me please. To Rector Jusas Augutis from Vytautas Magnus University. Jusas, lead us happily through next year. Congrats, and take this burden from my shoulders. This is this famous medal.
Thank you, Rita. You're very nice from your hands.
I give you a microphone. And Alliance is yours.
Dear Richard, dear colleagues of all universities from Alliance, it's a big pleasure and big honor to be here. If not my schedule, I left here for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, but unfortunately, I would like to thanks Silesia University for this year. It was not easy, but very important for all Alliance. Rector Richard and your team, university, made very big job for this year. And Alliance go ahead I think that next year will be successful too. After that, the next year, and we go step by step forward. I would like to thank personally, Richard, and your university, and give this symbolic picture. Here there are two universities, University of Silesia and University of Vytautas Magnus. Please give from my hands this picture.
Thank you very much. We have strong tradition, this kind of unity. We have strong tradition in our history in this kind of unity. And thank you very much, Jusas.
Thank you. Okay, if you left me some words for this year, for the future, your magnificent rectors, dear colleagues, Vytautas Magnus University is very proud to undertake the presidency of the Transform for Europe Alliance for the coming year and to lead our partnerships toward our common aims and ambitions. This year, Vytautas Magnus University celebrates the 35th anniversary of its re-establishment as a university based on liberal arts model. Today, in the context of global challenges, technological progress, and social transformation, liberal arts education has become even more relevant. The holistic approach centered on the community and students, the focus on critical and creative thinking, the lifelong learning makes liberal art education similar to aims and values of the Transform for Europe Alliance, such as developing and promoting European identity, diversity, solidarity, and technological competencies. For the year 2024, Vytautas Magnus University invite all partners to focus on the fields of continuous learning, visionary and ethical leadership, innovative and creative thinking, as well as interdisciplinarity and inclusion. Professional excellence will be brought into spotlight by strengthening community and competence development, civic engagement, and social responsibility. We will invite all partners to reconsider the idea of the university in the contemporary society, its visionary and leadership role for social impact and progress. Global threats and uncertainties, environmental and political challenges, as well as culture issues, will be addressed by stronger relations and dialogue with social partners will contribute to a more inclusive and interconnected community where all attitudes and opinions are freely expressed and valued. We believe that by working together and sharing our knowledge, we can make a real difference with the universities as lively hubs where people connect, collaborate, and come up with innovative solutions to global challenges. We believe that working with a diverse community of partners, businesses, artists, politicians, and members of local community, we can contribute to positive transformation for our societies and Europe. It means transform for Europe. Thank you very much. Okay, now a little bit about our plans in the future. I think that no better than Ineta can present it.
Dear colleagues, once again, I join our team and rector's words of congratulating Silesian University for their great effort to lead the Transform for Europe through all that year. As I said already, it is not very easy to be the first, but it was good for us to taking this duty that we will follow. We will use your experience, and definitely we will try to do our best. I would like also to share with you our plan for the next year that was already more or less discussed within our group. So definitely, as the university that promotes linguistic and cultural diversity, we would like to start with Mother Language Day. It is not obligatory for everyone, but we think that Mother Day is very important because we do speak not about the national or standard language, but about regional languages, regional varieties, dialects, sub-dialects, about our authenticity. So if you will take this challenge to join our initiative, so you can also kind of start thinking of this February 21st, that around the world we celebrate this very important day. The next in a row, it's a forum that Rector mentioned already, the idea of university. I hope that during these days we still have time to discuss what could be the real content of that forum, but we believe that we need to put our ambition forward. We need for our alliance to be more visible within other alliances. So maybe an event in Brussels might be of our consideration. And of course, we are leading the work package, and we are responsible for professional excellence. So this is related to our work package. And we continue with quite good experience already. The conferences and workshop for academics, but this year, with this new phase of Transform for Europe, we decided to make our community broader. Therefore, academic and non-academic conference for professional development, together with workshops, will be organized in April, so mark the dates. We already more or less sure when those dates will be, so we will communicate immediately after this meeting. Again, so we will invite everyone to come to Kaunas, those who will be interested. Student conference, annual conference, usually it's for our university students, but again, I would use this opportunity to invite students who are here to consider this event and come and participate in this wonderful student gathering. And of course, we have plans for very interesting project, which is Student Gala Forum and workshops at Venice Architecture Biennale. This is already the project that we started in spring. There are a majority of alliance partners that joined this activity. We are still waiting for those seed money to kind of support our activities here. It might be also that Saint-Étienne University will also consider being co-lead of this activity, and because Kaunas and Saint-Étienne are cities of design cities, so in April there is another activity. We thought that maybe Creathon might be an option for our students, so we will keep inform you. But this Venice Biennale, I think it's a great opportunity for all teachers, researchers, and students. And of course, again, European Language Day, we think that artificial intelligence would be interesting to consider, as we don't know how it will turn out. And finally, in a year time, the same week, from 20 to 20 something, please save your calendars. So this is Strategic Assembly, Transform Conference, and Student Mobility. So I hope that we will have small changes with all of your support and contributions, so we will discuss. And very last moment, that very last minute, I would like to use your attention. We have a very small gift for you. Please. It's a small book. It is titled by Practicing Utopia, written by Polish renowned public intellectual writer, essayist, poet Krzysztof Czyżewski. And actually, I would like to give some context. This text originated from a speech he delivered this March during when he received the honorary award, Leonidas Donskis Award, named after our university late professor. So he developed a speech when he shared with us reflections of practicing utopia. And we found it very relevant, resonating with our activities. The themes of borders, boundaries, otherness, but also bridges, cooperation, and tolerance. So this booklet is actually about cross-border cooperation, Polish-Lithuanian, and I think it's very relevant. So these are the concepts and themes that we strive to employ into our alliance. The book, it's also our invitation for slow reading, intellectual challenge, that we all occupied by screening and scrolling the text, like running all the time. So let's challenge yourself when you are back on your plane, bus, or train, and dive into this intimate reflection of kind of slow reading. Is it still possible? Short, 5 pages, but it requires some intellectual effort. I hope you will take this invitation. Furthermore, with this idea, we would like to invite you to consider a text or an author from your country, maybe also relevant to borderlands, and suggest us a text or part of the text. It should be, short, available in your language, but also English and others that we all would like, to read. So the text might be contemporary or even classic, because we need this message that's still relevant for us, for humanity, like those timeless messages that still come from Cervantes, Don Quixote. So I hope you will enjoy reading it and will take this challenge to think of your author. Thank you very much, and once again, congratulations to Silesia team. And this is for you. Thank you. But I forgot to say, all those books are displayed when you will leave the hall. I hope it will be enough for everybody. If not, there will be even audible version that we produce. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Ineta. From the Universidad Católica de Portugal. Sorry, I'm still practicing in Portuguese, so I do hope that it was more or less good. And also, we would like to invite to join our round table Professor Isabel Capeloa Gil, the rector of the Universidad Católica Portugal, Madam Rector. Madam Rector, Professor Claudia Kutnar from Primorska University. Professor Juan Llopis from the University of Alicante. And Professor Tomasz Pietrzykowski, our Vice Rector for Domestic and International Cooperation. Okay, so Francisco, the floor and the micro is yours.
Can I have the micro? Okay, good morning everybody. So no presentations needed, and just to start with discussion, I just as very honored to be invited as a kind of moderator, so I just had to say some words before I pass the floor to our rectors and representatives, and who in place put this international relations within the university framework into action. Nevertheless, I tried to do some research. We are in a university, so in order to give 2 minutes to the beginning of this small discussion. So, I feel that we are in a significant stage on the process of the European education area. The European integration is no longer on the shore of the higher education system, and after the ECTS establishment, those credits, Bologna and all that, the Bologna process continues and feeds the framework faced by universities in an evolving process where we are called to participate and to avoid the Babel Tower. And if options were not complex enough, they become more challenging as we have to address them in a global world and with outreach challenges and stakeholders, relations, commitments, delivers, and perspectives. What a wonderful blend we universities face. Is the world of university diplomacy the soft power, as it was mentioned before? Universities are and have long been centers of learning and innovation, and today they play an increasingly vital role in international relations, fostering and supporting globalization. University diplomacy, also known as knowledge diplomacy, refers the ways in which higher education institutions engage in international relations by promoting cross-border collaboration, cultural understanding, and global problem solving. It tackles the universe of the university and serves purposes many times beyond the walls, or better to say, the data clouds of the university itself. Many things and many topics can be listed. I just shared with these ladies and gentlemen some topics like fostering strategic partnerships, driving knowledge diplomacy through research and innovation, and acing digital and virtual diplomacy, advancing cultural diplomacy and internationalization at home, and promoting policy advocacy and global academic governance. And some of these examples and partnerships were already mentioned by Madam Ambassador before. So, and to conclude this short start, I invite all that are present to address what these topics might suggest you and to challenge us with the ideas, namely what should be the role of us as an alliance of universities that aim to transform Europe. Because we cannot forget, and again, inspired by our Madam Ambassador, that we are at the same time both suppliers of knowledge to that university diplomacy, but also players in the international relations. So diplomats ourselves in the knowledge that we produce. So thank you very much. And just to facilitate, I give the talk to Claudia, please, and you can start.
Thank you very much. It's always nice to be here in Katowice. So, yeah, it's a really broad topic. It's hard to say where to start, but maybe because I'm sitting next to the representative from the ministry, I would say that in order to fulfill our mission, it's very important that we are supporting the European style of life, but on the same hand, we need to be active in changing our national legislation for higher education. So that's very important. The long processes that we need to follow on the national level is the reason why we actually didn't do as much as we want to as the Transform for Europe University. And I'm happy that in Slovenia we are currently preparing a new Higher Education Act, and we are trying to put special articles for European universities. So whatever we are doing within the European universities, we should be much faster than a regular process. And it's very important that we are active not only within our alliance, but that we are active, for example, at the European University Association. They're having a lot of strategic orientations currently towards European universities, and I think that we were not active enough as our alliance, but I do hope that this will change. And the 2025 will start with the mother tongue forum or meeting, and I really support this, but we need to be aware that delivering more study programs in English language or a different language that's our own language, it's very important. And in order to, so European Union adopted a new agenda for innovations, and there is a special section saying the mission of the universities is to bring talents to Europe. And in order to do that, I would say that we need to be open in giving study programs in different languages, and we need to promote possibilities within T4EU to Caribbean students, but on the other hand, our governments would need to give some financial support for scholarships, and then we will fulfill our mission.
Yeah, Isabel, please.
Well, thank you. Well, first of all, let me say I'm so happy to be here. It's my first in-presence participation as a rector in Transform for Europe, and I want to thank the rector, Richard, for the warm welcome here in Katowice. It's such a pleasure to be here with my colleagues, and I will start with one of the comments that Madam Ambassador made at the end, that despite our good intentions after the Lisbon Declaration, we haven't gone so far in European foreign policy, and the role that universities play in this. As the rector from Primorska was saying, European universities are crucial in the advancement of European policy abroad. And the role that the higher education area has in the missions that have been attributed to the new commissioners really shows that this is a top priority. Now, having said that, that is on the policy level. How do we articulate that with national policies and a certain, I would like to say, disjunction between what the aims of advancing this coalition and the European alliances are part of this endeavor, and the way in which not only national policies, but also a certain idea of the university on the national level still holds. If we go back to the original idea of the university, it was a national and international endeavor. I mean, the medieval university was an international endeavor. It was a place where everybody would come from all over Europe to study. From Bologna to Coimbra, Salamanca, this was the place. The 19th century, with the Humboldt model, connected the university to the deployment of national power, to the state power. And we have been, in a way, following or captured in that model, whilst at the same time endeavoring to be international understanding on a political and theoretical level that, as Goethe said already in the 18th century, that science is not a national endeavor. You cannot do science based on a very national idea of walls. National science and knowledge is, by definition, international, collaborative, cooperative. But at the same time, you have this projection of national power, the university as an arm of the state. And we are somehow struggling between the two. Because, yes, universities, the success of a given country depends on the possibility of high-quality training, and so universities are part and parcel of that strategy. But on the other hand, we understand, especially from our European perspective, that the only way we can succeed in collaborating and competing with other players is if we work together. And the European alliances are crucial in that regard. So we have to move, we have to keep our, let's say, our regional anchoring, our national position, but move beyond this and to cooperate on an international level if we are to succeed in promoting our European values vis-à-vis other actors. And when I speak about other actors, I'm speaking, for instance, not about close actors, but let's say China, right? China has been investing tremendously in pumping up their universities, putting money into the system, and that is not simply out of a desire to train high qualified professionals. It's a policy projection. And this policy projection aims very clearly at deconstructing the values that we hold so dear: democracy, the rule of law, the right to be free, the freedom to be free, as Hannah Arendt would say, diversity, inclusion, the defense of human dignity, all those values that are European values. And so I would say that one of the challenges, but also the opportunities of an alliance such as ours, is really to hold on to this European intellectual tradition and to do the best of it, and to work together to promote internationally these values. So it is absolutely strategic that we overcome, and as Claudia was saying, the national regulations is something that we have to deal with. I see that also in the missions that have been afforded to the commissioners to create a sort of, let's see how this works, but we would need support from our foreign offices and ministers, the idea of easing the accreditation processes for international degrees. I mean, do we have to go through 3 processes if we have 3 different countries collaborating for a degree? Or is there a way of really overcoming this for the European alliances on a supranational level, right? And that is placed as policy, but we know that it takes a long way from going to policy to the implementation of that policy. So we do need the states to work strongly in that regard. The second thing is that we cannot be naive, and then I want to close with that. Collaboration is fantastic, but we have to be mindful that whilst we cooperate and increasingly tend towards promoting open science policies, that open science is excellent, because if we receive public funds, we don't want to, science is a public good, right? But the outputs of the fundamental research and the applied research we do in Europe is being observed by external actors. So the question of dual use is extremely important. Universities are part and parcel of national security efforts. And I think we cannot be naive. So we need to be mindful of this dual nature of the science that we produce in areas, especially, of course, from engineering to biotech and health and so on, but also on other levels. So the way our science is being appropriated there, in a recent presentation we had at the university, it was one instance of a development published paper on the use of ultrasound for the reconstruction of, let's say, face bones. This is for the area of dental medicine. And this was an extraordinary breakthrough, except that this use was later appropriated by, let's say, rogue actor for the deployment of undersea sonars for submarines. So you see, how can you control that? I mean, it's very difficult to control this use, but the message is an alliance like this is crucial for collaboration, but we must also be mindful of, we cannot be useful idiots, let's say, for external actors. So I think that the question of dual use should be, when we work stronger together on collaboration, that we must keep this in mind as well.
Thank you very much. Juan, please.
Okay, well, thank you. Well, first of all, I would like to give the thanks to Katowice and to the rector and to everybody hosting us. And it's a pleasure to see you all together once again. I was thinking, I see you more times every year, more than some of my family members. So, yeah, it's great. So I understand that you're like families, no? At some point, no? Well, it's very complicated to talk after this good speaks that we received previously. So more than giving some high-level questions, I would like to go to the ground, no? Things that happen. Well, very basically, I've been dean of a business school. My background is business management during 8 years. 8 years vice rector of international relations, and 4 years in charge of the institutional relations of the university. So I have the luck to travel a lot, and I visit more than 100 universities all around the world, of course, including Latin and South America and Caribbean, but all the rest of the world, no? And I'm not a diplomatic. I don't belong to any political party. Okay, that's also. But I would like to say that, under my point of view, diplomacy is a kind of it's like friendships. I mean, when things run very well, we are friends. Oh, that's my friend. That's my friend. This other is my friend too. But when things do not run well, when you go to some of your theoretical friends, not all are friends. Okay, so under this point of view, I understand diplomacy as that. No, practically, for example, when we develop an agreement, I'm in charge at the university for the agreements with another university, and perhaps in some, well, it's not the moment to sign an agreement with that university because we have overbooking in that area of the world or whatever. I say to my collaborators, please send a diplomatic no. Okay, so, and they know what text is going. We don't need a diplomatic yes. Okay, so under my point of view, that's a point. And which is the roles of universities do it in all of this. I think that like technology and, for example, artificial intelligence, technology, bio and genetics and so on, runs faster than law. I mean, first comes all of this and then comes regulations, okay? Us and universities can play that role too. I mean, we are collaborating in labs, in many things in different universities, and the thoughts are so different, but don't care. I mean, the scientifics are not working having in mind that that university is of that country. No, it's a specific subject, no, where they are working. I remember one project that was with Libya, was 10, 12 years ago when Libya had a bad moment. And it was a kind of a project in relationship with digitalization and so on. Well, this is not important, but it was a scientific project. And we invite them to come to our university in Alicante. I remember I had to do the kickoff and open ceremony and so on. And we have about 20 members of Libyan universities, okay? And it was a big table at our university, one's at one part, others at the other, about 20 members and so on. And I began to talk, well, welcome, happy to have you here. Everybody was serious, nobody was talking. I didn't understand, what's this? What's happening here? And when I finished, some came and gave us some gifts and so on. And I said, why are you so serious? I mean, we are Mediterranean and so on. They were physically killing themselves. I mean, in one part of the table sit the universities near Benghazi and the other part near Tripoli, and physically they were killing themselves. It's impossible to think that they were sitting, not because that in any place, but in the university they were sitting together. And after 3 days, they were collaborating in digitalization affairs. So I think that's what we can do at universities. I've been in university, you mentioned Cuba, also in China, Vietnam, Laos, and you expect that they are going to, well, touch a little bit your mind in this regime and so on. Nobody talks to me about that, never. We talk about scientific collaboration and working and so on. That's our point, no? And additionally with this, I would like to add, well, in the field of the European Union, that it's my point of view, okay, only my point of view, that diplomatics at the EU are having the background of their careers, their curricula, being diplomatics in their countries. And then they are sent to the EU, and then they have to consistently change to be diplomatics of the EU, or try to. We can see, for example, all these questions of migration, no? Where to say something that happened last week, no? The point of view of the government, okay, not the university, the government of Italy or the government of Spain are radically different, for example, and so on. There is an initiative, sure the ambassador knows better than me, to train and to work with diplomacy studies from the beginning for the EU. I know that Federica Modellini is in charge of this, and we are pushing, I'm telling this at the University of Alicante, to be part of this training, okay, for that. So it's another view. Well, very briefly, yes, I think that we in universities have a big role to play. We are playing that role. In fact, you can see, I've seen labs, people from China and Taiwan working together. I've seen that. Okay, so really we are scientifics, academics, and so on, and not thinking so much of that. Hopefully, diplomacy can get some examples of this. Thank you.
Okay, Juan, thank you very much. Thomas, please.
Hello, good morning. It's a great honor to take part in the discussion in such a wonderful company and in front of such an amazing audience. So our topic implies to me two slightly different, although overlapping, but nonetheless slightly different concepts: the academic diplomacy as such and academic diplomacy of European universities, which means to me, or suggests to me, European university alliances like us. So please let me briefly comment on both of those separate issues by anecdotes. Madam Ambassador told that earlier that it is like a meeting of a practitioner with theorists, which is true, but it doesn't mean that these theorists, especially when they are administrators of universities, don't take part in real life situations. So these anecdotes refer to my experiences from this kind of, let's say, quasi-diplomatic experiences. So the first concerning the academic diplomacy as such is from many years ago, when I took part in a delegation to China, to Liaoning province, to its capital Shenyang. And it was a delegation composed of local authorities, the governor of the region, the mayor of the city, and some business people, and a few academics, among them myself. And the purpose of that visit was to sign, the regions wanted to collaborate, the cities wanted to become the sister cities, and such agreements were actually signed. And then came this difficult moment: what's next? So it is easy to sign the agreement. It is much more difficult to stimulate a real collaboration the day after. So they were immediately confronted, and I saw it, let's say, with my own eyes, that they were confronted with this uncomfortable, difficult question. So what we can do together? We are on the, completely different parts of the world with completely different problems, challenges, and so on. But we just signed the agreement that we want to do something together and to cooperate. So the immediate answer that came to them is to let our universities collaborate. So this is obvious, relatively easy. Universities are doing more or less the same. They assumed rightly that both of those universities were interested in such collaboration. On the Chinese side, even if the university was not actually interested in that cooperation, when they got the suggestions from the, let's say, superior authorities, obviously they immediately started to become interested, and we collaborate with them till today, quite fruitfully. And it was just a byproduct, I would say, of, let's say, the difficulty in other fields of collaboration, which usually come with many more difficulties than in the academic fields, which brings to me the idea that academic collaboration and academic diplomacy might be probably one of the best weapons in this soft power diplomacy. So if there are no better idea what to do together, universities are always there, ready, and it is like in our DNA that we are open for this kind of collaboration with any partners that are inside, so to say. So this is the first comment concerning the academic diplomacy as such. And the second anecdote concerns the academic diplomacy of European university alliances. And this anecdote is much more recent. It's from a year ago or something like that. When I visited and had a meeting with the rector of Tokyo University, one of the biggest, most prestigious, richest universities in the world, and I was there with the then head of the Polish National Agency of Academic Collaboration, who was invited to present, let's say, the offer of this agency and to just outline what we are doing, what are possibilities to involve the Tokyo University. And obviously the most speaking was done by the head of the agency. I was just an accompanying person, but I observed very carefully, let's say, what was going on, and immediately noticed that when only the real capabilities of the Polish National Agency for Academic Exchange was presented to the rector of Tokyo University, he immediately got bored. And, he realized that, this is not the level that is of any strategic interest for them. When we heard about the money that they devote for particular projects, programs, it was much below, let's say, any level that could make him interested. And I realized that I have to try to rescue the situation somehow, so I started to add, to interrupt, and so on. And my impression was that there were two moments when the rector of Tokyo University got somehow interested and even alerted. The first was the European City of Science in Katowice. At that time, it was still, let's say, ahead of us. And Euro Science Open Forum, the huge scientific policy-making conference that I started to explain to him what it was and that it will be held in Katowice and so on. I had an impression that he seriously considered whether it is not the place that his representatives should be. And the second moment was the European University Alliances, and on the example of our one, obviously, I explained him what is Transform for Europe, who are the members, what are our plans, ambitions, and so on and so on. And at that moment, I observed, let's say, that his thinking must probably have been that, okay, probably none of those universities individually is not in my league, but altogether, this is something that starts to sound interesting. So European University Alliances, to me, is the method to punch above, let's say, our leagues, and it works. So I had the first-hand, so to say, experience that it changes the thinking of the biggest players that normally let's say look for partners completely in a different places than we are located. So if you take these two suggestions together, so that universities can be the useful instrument or tool of that soft power building, and together we become 10 times more attractive than we are in such relations individually, then that the topic of academic diplomacy in this context becomes really an important challenge, an important topic for the state administration, for the regional authorities, because they have an asset. In most cases, they are not fully aware that it might be such a useful and such a powerful tool to build, let's say, this kind of relations. And part of our task is, I guess, to make them more aware of that, and to make them familiar that it is a possible, we are, and our capabilities are, let's say, at their disposal. It is available for them, and they should use us, so to say, because this is like a win-win situation. So it improves, let's say, their position, and obviously is in our interest and part of our mission. Why we are universities and why we are European University Alliance. Thank you.
Okay, Thomas, thank you. I thank you all for such straightforward moments and sharing. And before passing the floor to our ambassador, I'd like to say, did universities answer your request in order to make diplomacy around the world? I'd just like to highlight two groups, and within one of the groups, some elements of what was said here. Because when you talk about diplomacy and internationalization, it's always two ways. So it's from us to the world, but also to the world to us. So what we've mentioned, internationalization at home, which is also relevant, both in the corporate governance and also, for instance, in the degrees that we offer in English, as Claudia, for instance, was mentioning that, and our universities, we have that. And then how do we manage that with our multilingual, INETA-like perspectives that we will have during next year, and we will manage that very well, I'm sure. But on the other way is what we saw here on the diplomacy of universities as being diplomatic, a diplomatic no or a diplomatic yes. So as Juan mentioned, is we definitely build bridges, even with people that don't speak at home. Libya was the example, but it's just one of them. China and Taiwan, for example. We promote our values, which is relevant. So as European and European alliances, we promote our values and we promote our strengths. Together, we are bigger, so we go for the heavy league, so as it was mentioned. So are we prepared to go to the heavy league?
First of all, I'm glad that we are actually on the same page, because I was, at the beginning, I was a little bit afraid that it might be a discussion that somebody would say that somebody else should do more. And I think that we are saying the same things. One clarification. Talking about practice and theory, I just wanted to say that I'm merely somebody that executes the projects that are born somewhere else, like in the discussion at the university. It's not that I don't think that universities just are limited to theorization and no action. No, not at all. No. I think that this is a great marriage between theory and the practice that we are doing. Referring to China, I really don't want us to follow the China example. Their policy is so aggressive. Of course, it might start with the great idea of Confucius Institutes everywhere, teaching Chinese, bringing, promising students to China, or sending Chinese students abroad, or fostering the exchange between the academics. But then the next step is economic pressure, political pressure, and the whole range of tools that we, the Europeans, should avoid, I think, because we want to foster the soft power, not the sharp power. And that's why I was talking about European way of life. This is one of the priorities of the European Commission as well. We want to, because this is the part of the ongoing global discussion about the role of China, Russia, United States, and other global powers, and the place of Europe. In saying Europe, I'm thinking European Union, of course. And our place in this geopolitical jigsaw. And I don't want to go into details because, of course, it's not the place for this discussion, but promoting European way of life among our partners in third countries has this goal to show them that other way is possible. They don't have to accept Chinese offer that actually might seem at the beginning a nice gift, but at the end, it's not a gift at all, it's a debt that we'll have to pay someday. And as Europeans, of course, we might set our values high, and this is also for example, the topic of the ongoing discussions, political discussions and commercial discussions with Latin American countries, that, for example, we put the conditions on the new free trade agreements that they should stop deforestation, or they should keep higher standards of labor protection. Okay, they might say, like, you ask for too much, but then at the end, I think that this is the policy to show them that in long term, it will give the benefits for all of them, for us and for them as well. And this is, that's why I think that promoting European way of life is important, and this is the role of the universities as well, because, as I think I mentioned a few times, universities play a crucial role in constructing the soft power, because this is the part of public diplomacy. And of course, like, we could maybe think what is more important, bringing nationals from other countries to study in our countries, to then having in them kind of ambassadors. It's important, but there's a risk they would never go home. So yes, this, or sending our students abroad, then we should always keep in mind the level of the universities. Then fostering the exchange, like concrete projects, or just some, again, the word theoretical meetings and initiatives that are depend on many factors if they might be executed in the future. There are different tools, and I think that we should keep the discussion on how, which one of them and how we can use for the better purpose of all of us, because we have this common role to, and again, yes, European versus national. This is another problem. Of course that we support the European University, but even in cultural promotion, we have this kind of competition. This is seen, for example, in this idea of unique clusters, the National Institutes of Culture, that should foster European projects of culture, being still national, but under the umbrella of European culture. And it's always a little bit problematic because countries are a little bit jealous, saying, I think that I should keep more to promote our national culture than the European one, that in some countries is not seen like the idea of something European is so abstract that it has no role. So as I said at the beginning, I am glad that we are having this discussion and we are more or less on the same page. I think that there are some details that we should keep talking about, but the basis, the foundation is here. And let's keep working together to address the global challenges, because who else if not us? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'd like to ask to the panel if anyone would like at this moment to add some comments.
Thank you. China was mentioned several times, and I would like to stress that something that we have in Europe, but they don't have in China, is academic freedom. So I know personally many professors that were recruited for huge salaries to go to Chinese universities, but after a few years, they just returned home because they said, okay, huge money. They promised me that I will build something, new research department, but in fact, I was just the figure in front. I needed to work whatever the government decided. So, and this is something that we don't talk a lot in Europe because we take this for granted, but actually the academic freedom that we have at the universities, this is something that we should respect. And this is one thing that I wanted to point it out. And the second thing, you mentioned that there is a risk that people that will come to Europe to study, that they will not go back. But I think that we don't want them to go back. We want talents to stay in Europe. So, and that's something, for example, in Slovenia, the Novartis and Sandoz, there are two pharmaceutical companies. They are building huge infrastructure, and they need 500 more workers in pharmacy with PhDs in 3 years. And in Slovenia, we are not able to educate so many new experts, and we would like to use the opportunity of the T4EU university, as well as other, so like Western Balkan. We are happy that we are close to, so we are like ex-joint country with Western Balkan, and we have strategic orientation how to bring good experts to Slovenia and to help to build Europe. And we were always just talking about workers coming from less developed countries to clean after us or to build our streets, but I think that we are on the way where we need to be open to talents, to experts, to give the leading positions within Europe also to someone that is outside Europe. And this is the openness that we have in Europe. And I do hope that we will succeed as Europe, that we are recognized destination for high quality, higher education. So that's what I wanted to comment.
Okay, thank you.
Can I be a bit provocative? Yes, I think this is the forum, while the universities there. Yes, because as it has been said, this is a knowledge alliance. We are an arm for diplomacy, and culture is part of that. So the tension between the national and the supranational and the European, and this is something that is very close at heart. I would argue that the national in national cultures only exists because there are other cultures, and I'm sitting here next to Juan. This is something that I always tell my students. The idea of a Portuguese culture exists because there is something that is called Spanish, Andalusian, Catalonian, French, African, Moroccan, German, French. Okay, so it's this notion that you, and Hannah Arendt has this very fine line, culture is about understanding that the other can also be right. And more often than not, and I think this is very clear when you speak about European culture and the idea of culture within this European mindset. But it is often diverted to say that the national is a gated community. The national is not a gated community. So national cultures or our culture is always plural. That's what it means when we talk about defending diversity and inclusion, and something that is specific, but it is specific because it engages in a dialogue with something that is across the border. And in this alliance, we are all neighbors. We are all alike and dissimilar. And we have to consider this, the national, not in opposition, but as something that only exists because we are all neighbors and we are all. And this notion of the bridges, the dialogue that engages, that we engage with. This is crucially a discussion within Europe that is very much used in populist approaches to the ideal of culture that goes against what our common heritage, our common intellectual tradition is. We are not homogeneous. That's not what it is about. We have to keep those differences, but to be wary that we are not so specific that we are completely different from what lies within 5 kilometers. And it is very, we have a number of universities that are cross-border. I'm speaking from the Portuguese perspective. I mean, the cities and villages on the border to Salamanca, well, there is a political border, but there is a common culture there. So people just, they use a dialect, part Portuguese, part Spanish, and we cannot create artificial borders, artificial intellectual borders that can be politically useful, but that are not what universities are about. So that was a provocation.
Okay, so let's talk about borders, or redefine borders, as it was mentioned. Juan?
Okay, well, thank you. I was thinking, I think we are very, very, very lucky to be at universities, and it's easier than diplomacy. Yes. Absolutely, absolutely. No, what I mean is that I did a consulting to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, in a Spanish one, and said, well, I am, because I was in charge of that, and actually I'm in charge of the agreements of the university, 1,500 every year, okay, in national and internationals. So, yeah, we don't have to make consulting to the government. Can we do an agreement with this country, with this other university? No, it's us. I mean, actually, my university is established in 140 countries in the world, actively, okay, for different reasons, but there we are. And nobody never tell me, you can with this one? No, better not with that one. Of course. We are responsible, for example, with the Ukrainian, what's happening and so on, obviously, no, but not mandatory, okay? So for that reason, I would like to say that we are lucky, no? And at the same time, the word trust, I did not hear it, it's central. It's absolutely central. A lot of diplomacy at the university level, I mean, what we are working, it's thanks to that trust. For example, you mentioned Cuba. Cuba with the financial crisis, 2007, 2008, or so on. Before there were dozens of Spanish universities based in Cuba, giving money there and so on. But when came the crisis, what I said before, all the friends, you lose them. So we were only 3, 4 universities. I say we because Alicante was one that still, including in the crisis, the financial crisis, still work with Cuba, no? And they remember that. For example, last week I had a dinner with a minister of higher education of Cuba. He was in Alicante. We were talking and so on. And he said, yes, we remember that. In Algiers also happened the same. When France was not giving, well, I don't want to talk about policy, no, but we still work with Iran, with Algiers and so on. I mean, at the university level. Only at the university level, no? So then they remember that. For example, the minister said, well, we have now good fundings of the European Union and we can choose with who we want to work with. Be sure that Alicante is going to be one. Okay, so it's a return, okay, when you work by this. So yeah, that way they have trust, and that I must recognize that it's easier for us at universities than in general in diplomacy. But at the end, we can open windows to diplomacy. Okay, so thanks to the university. Came to me, for example, the mayor of our city or some minister came, oh, Juan, do you have any agreement in this country? Check, yeah, with this university. Oh, can you contact them because we want to do some other businesses or public or so on? So of course, we are also on a gene of all of this, no? So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Just two brief observations or comments. The first concerns that question of bringing talents. It's obvious, and I guess that nobody better than we in the academia is aware of that Europe is lagging behind in technological development and progress, behind, let's say, the leading places in the world like the US or even China in some aspects. And the crucial interest and one of the crucial essential goals of diplomacy from the European perspective must be to make this European way of life attractive to the most talented and most brilliant and promising young people. And who else can be a tool of this kind of achieving of this kind of goal than universities? So I think that we are absolutely aware that bringing foreigners to Europe is at the same time a risk, and at the same time the inevitable necessity and the absolutely essential interest, critical interest, if we want to survive as you know, somehow important, let's say, player on the global scale. So this is the first observation. The second concerns more this intra-European dimension, and it is equally obvious that we have a problem with maintaining, let alone developing further, this kind of spirit of integration, that feeling of reconciliation between national cultures and national political or economic interests versus the European common collaboration and competition against the rest of the world. And it is still, let's say, struggling with each other. And to me, this is the most important dimension of European University Initiative, is to try to renew, let's say, that spirit that drove the European integration for the first 10, 20, 30 years, beginning in the 1950s. And probably it is even more important because we may have more or less successes in the global area, but you know the future of the European Union depends on the younger generations that might be either more in favor, let's say, of this feeling that our European cultures are different, but we are a family, let's say, that these differences are secondary compared to the common denominator that we have across the EU, or these national egoisms can prevail again, and it is probably the most fatal danger in the long run for the integration project and for the future of Europe. So our role in this sense is absolutely fundamental to me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Thomas. I'll just take this opportunity to ask to the audience if anyone likes to make a comment, question, input, please.
Thank you. Mart Kalm, Estonian Academy of Arts. May I open up a different and non-so-pleasant aspect of the topic? Last year we had Nordic-Baltic Vectors Conference in Reykjavik dedicated to the scientific espionage. Several professors shared their experiences from Tromsø, from Tartu, when in their research groups the spies were detected. My question is, what kind of preparations have you done in your universities if there will be detected a Russian spy?
Only Russian spies or others as well?
Thank you, Matt. I will. I will start. Portugal is at the lower end of Europe, but the question you pose is very, very relevant. And Vice Rector Peter Hanberg and myself have been attuned to this. The National Security Services, let's say, have been working closely with universities, and we've had information about people that have been signaled or detected as being working for a foreign actor, Russia, China, and so on. And that usually, well, what kind of measures can we take? There are things that we can do by vetting when we, but usually that's why spies are spies. It's not easy to detect that you hire a researcher from, I don't know, let's say a country that is outside our alliance, from Albania, let's say, and that in the end the intelligence services signal say, this person highly qualified, but it has been detected through the European services that it has a connection. And what can be done? We usually don't have the mechanisms to say we're going to sack this person because we cannot act on the information that we receive, okay? So usually the thing is just be mindful that this person has been signaled and that is under observation. So they don't really ask the university to, legally we can't sack someone unless there is some sort of criminal act, which is not the case, of course, so we are informed, and that is that. Then we take measures. We as far as possible, in highly sensitive areas, biotech, for once, where we have a number of projects with external companies that can be sensitive. But I must say that we, by definition and mission, we cannot work, let's say, with the weapons industry, or there are some sectors that as a university we cannot work with. Anything that has to do with weapons, militarization, tobacco industry, that is outside the scope. By definition, we can't deal with that. I mean, that is part of our mission and the strategy and the ethical guidelines that guide the university. But we understand that some of the research that is being done in those labs in cooperation with civilian partners raise interest from those industries. We've had Raytheon coming to us asking to buy certain molecules that were, and we say, we can't work with you, not for us. I mean, we can't provide. It would be for civilian use, but we cannot. Well, it's an arms, it's an industry, so we can't do that. That is not to say, from the instance in the United States, DARPA, which is the agency that works on the development of security-related issues and works strongly with universities, many of the civilian usages, it goes also the other way around, that many developments done for the military industry then reflect back on what we do. The internet is perhaps the most famous one, but that there are other uses. But I don't think that is the case in Europe, that there are no guidelines for that. There is not let's say, defense industry agency that would allow or that asks for the cooperation of universities. Should the European Union decide on that would be a different story where we could cooperate. But I don't think, Madam Ambassador, maybe you know about this, but I don't think there is such a thing that is similar to DARPA on the European level.
There is.
Oh, there is.
But
Okay,
they
so I stand
don't work
corrected.
with the universities. Maybe
Okay.
we should tell them to pay
Okay,
more
so
attention to this field. Yes.
Yes, because this is a crucial area. There are things that we don't see as being possible. That's why being attuned to dual use is so important. So we try to be attuned, but I don't think the guidelines, how do you detect espionage, it's very difficult. I mean, we have to rely on the information that we get from the intelligence services of the countries, right? But it's a problem, yeah.
Well, yes, to add something, yeah, very, very similar. Every 6 months, more or less, I have a visit from the National Security Agency. To give you an idea, I know that he is Miguel, and I have a phone, nothing else. I mean, never call me at the office or the minister or nothing else. And it's curious because many times we don't have the information and they have the information. I mean, they comes to us, please give us information about this student or this professor or whatever, no? Not only from Russia, also from Algiers, from North Africa, okay, that we are very near, and they are very good relationships. And there was something, I don't know if it can be useful. For example, we had one case with Iranian students that what they were doing is that they were coming to the university. Let's see, to enroll, firstly, you have to do a pre-inscription, no? That you want to study and so on, so on. So you do some forms, some paper, and so on. With that papers, you can go to the Minister of Inside Affairs of Spain, and they can give you a kind of residence as a student. So what we detected that many of the Iranians that came, I say Iranians, but can be any other country, I mean, no. But this is true. They were doing all this paperwork, but then they were not enrolled in the university. So we detected, well, where is all these people? I'm talking about 20, 30 or more. So I remember I can tell you this because it's not actual. We called the services, the special services for the minister, and they said, yeah, we're going to detect and so on. 3 or 4 were really spies, okay? So that. What were we doing? Well, now if you want to pre-inscription, you have to pay. Okay, so seems ridiculous, but doing this, many are not coming. Okay, if they are not interested in coming, because we are not refunding if they say that, no, at the end I'm not interested. Okay, so it's working. Anyway, yes, I'm in line with Isabel. Basically, they give us the information and ask to us. We have a protocol between the different schools. All the deans knows that they must report if something is not clear, or they must report if some department is not clear, and so on. But it's not easy anyway. It's not easy. But yes, there is a relationship with the authorities and special services. Yeah.
Can I just say about the Confucius Institutes? We don't have one, and it's clearly a spy agency for China.
Okay. Sorry, I'd just like to take this opportunity because it's relevant that we are speaking about these extreme but very real situations, and that might help us like on restructuring, or at least talk more about our governance model as an alliance, so that then we can cooperate among ourselves in a better way in order to boost the knowledge of the alliance, in order to promote the alliance, universities, research centers, for the global engagement with other countries. Now we are putting Russia and China and others aside. But this to say that let us just not keep the discussion with the threats, but what threats may make us realize that we have to be more united in this European integration phenomena, that universities are a significant part. And it was mentioned in the beginning, I believe, by Claudia, the presence in the networks. So, and in the fora that are relevant. And I don't know, I believe there might be some more questions, but about the fora that are relevant, I just remembered Isabel Capello-Gil was present in a fora of the European Universities Association like 2 weeks ago in Helsinki that also talked about the alliances. They were the subject. And another thing that the cooperation in alliances and the diplomacy, which is also the relation with the stakeholders that is relevant, which is the funding. So because like this diplomacy and relations with stakeholders also eager for the funding. Then also sometimes because nationals, they don't give enough, or the European money won't be relevant there forever. So all these steps, so meaning that strengthening our relation, being present in networks, also for the funding, not only, also always for the knowledge, but also for the funding, don't forget that. We have to finance the knowledge somehow. So that's something relevant that, of course, always being aware of threats, so that are relevant. I don't know, Isabel, if you want to mention something about like the Helsinki experience, just briefly.
Well, it was mostly about funding, so I don't think it's...
Okay, so directors will speak there in the executive board where they have to speak about funding, nevertheless. So, I don't know, open the floor if anyone would like to... Oh, we have questions. Maria, please.
Hello, this is Maria Stoicheva, Sofia University. I would like to add something on the question that very relevantly was asked by the director of the Estonian Academy of Arts. I think this is critical because we work on open science a lot. We develop strategies about that. And I mean, at European, and very often what you were talking about and what you discussed in your university comes through collaborative research and also through European funding. Because through research, we form these big, enormous teams where we invite people, and then after that, they can become part of our universities or not, but we are very closely engaged in doing research. And I would say that at European level, I mean, I've been part of this project for quite a long time. There was this struggle to include ethical screening and dual use. We had a very big discussion, and it wasn't something from the very beginning. And at our university, when we were setting up the ethical committee looking at research, we have not succeeded yet, but I think this could be an issue while ethical research within our universities is done, similarly to what is done at European level as ethical screening, which is very detailed. You know, at the end of every research project there is a check, but dual use there is very important. So in relation with what Vitalis Magnus University have presented as a topic for next year, I heard the word ethics in research. So I think it might be a very good idea to see what our institutions provide as ethical screening for the research we do, and how we sort of try to confront this situation with open science and I mean, spying and using research for unethical or military or other purposes. So it's just a suggestion. I think this could be a very good opportunity to exchange our practices and see what is in working in some universities and how can we enrich within our alliance this ethical screening at our university level. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. Alice, please.
Yeah, hi, hello, Aleš from University of Primorska. I would just like to make one more comment to a lot of discussion that we've had here, and I'll be honest, it seems very Europocentric. Also in this sense, we have to spread the European values, we have to teach others, it's third country nationals, etc. I do believe especially universities are the institutions where we can also learn a lot from our international global partners. And this is where alliances can offer much more to the global learning platform, and where, exactly as Marie pointed out, we are mostly, with one exception, public universities, so we're working in the public good. So spies are probably not such a big problem for us because we're publicly funded, we do open science research in most of the areas. You know, there are exceptions, but that's it. But then globally wise, I don't know, from African institutions, we can learn how to work with communities. They are much better involved or engaged in the local communities as European universities are. So it's not just spreading our freedom, it's also learning about advantages that they have over there. And this is where we also can make a split from official diplomacy, whether that is a European one or a national one. We work on an institutional level, as Juan really pointed out, and this is what we have to be very proud of. We have this freedom, we can afford that, and then we also learn and bring the people and knowledge from other parts of the world and break this very European-centric mentality that we currently have. I think Europe is really closing itself from the world, and the world is changing rapidly. And we need to be aware of that, and especially our students and researchers need to have these global competences, not just European ones, but we can achieve them better if we work together inside Europe, because we're already developing these skills. We are a bit different from each other, so we're learning how to collaborate between us. That gives us a certain set of skills that then helps us collaborate globally.
I just wanted to comment briefly on what you just said. People-to-people contact for us implies that both sides are learning something. We want to avoid, because it was our problem, I have to admit, it was our problem, the European Union problem, in the relations with Latin America and the Caribbean at some moment, that we were lecturing them too much. And they said, like, or we are equal partners, or just think about other strategic partnership because we don't like this one. So this is what I think that you're right, and maybe we should say loudly, yes, this is the idea. For us, for diplomacy, it's also this learning process is very important, because sometimes our diplomats don't have the opportunity to learn enough about the country they are posted to. So any input, any contacts with the entities that are working, that, for example, work in field, the NGOs, the academia, just like anybody, that might bring some useful information about the partner country is very important. And another comment about borders and yes, Europe. I think that this competition abroad in culture, in economic interests, in any part between European countries is the reflection on what we still need to do inside the European Union, more integration. So then we can more, and this is where you work. So I commend your work. This is another step toward more Europe within Europe, and then more Europe outside of Europe, because we are stronger when we are together. So this is what I wanted to comment. Thank you.
Alice took mine. Joking. No, I think before we end, we had Peter would like to say something. We still have some minutes, please.
If there's still time, I just thank you very much for this amazing debate. I take three, let's say, tasks from this debate for future work. First of all, it's that we have to be more attentive and work on knowledge security. I think, as you were saying, we can't be naive. Of course, universities are not states, universities are not economy. They have their own right, but they are all always mixed and intertwined with the others. So we have to be aware of the risks of knowledge knowledge security. The second thing is ethics. I think we have to reinforce this debate on what we actually see as the knowledge that our knowledge entrepreneurs are advocating. And there might be limits, there might be needs of expansion, and so on. And the third thing is, you mentioned the word now as well, we have to be clear about the interest that we have in collaboration beyond our alliance. So we have to know why we are looking for this or that partner. It cannot be anyone. It has to be clearly something that we genuinely want to do. And then it makes a difference. And then it works. And then all the other issues like security and ethics are much easier to address as well. And for our outreach activities, I think this is a very important direction to go. Define the interest that you have for this or that partner, wherever he or it is.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know if we have any more questions. If not, lunch is calling. That's what Gosia was saying. So I would just like to thank everybody in the panel and, of course, the University of Silesia. And I would like to stress one word from everything, which is trust. If we trust on ourselves and also on the players and also on the stakeholders and the partners, we won't be naive, but work will go well. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Francisco. Thank you very much, all panelists. It was a brilliant time, and I think new indications for the new academic world and new academic year in Transform for Europe Alliance. And now I think we all deserved coffee and lunch, or coffee or lunch, or coffee and lunch, or lunch and coffee. So thank you very much. The coffee is upstairs, the lunch is on the first floor, and I would like to invite here Rector for a moment, so we will gather to spread into groups. Thank you.